On July 1st, 2025, Thatcher Demko signed an $8.5 million deal with the Vancouver Canucks for 3 seasons, and it divided a fan base. Some people liked it, some people didn't. You might be on the side that doesn't like it, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I hope that you'll watch this video to the end, because maybe, just maybe, I'll make it so that you... Okay, this video is different. It's going to be a little bit more serious than usual, so I think this conversation is very important, and Demko deserves the respect that he's earned. If you would ask me at the end of 2023 which player would be a bad re-signing for the Canucks, one of the last names I would have said was Thatcher Demko. He was on fire. He looked like one of the best goalies in the league. At that point, he'd only dealt with one non-COVID major injury in his NHL career. But now, just a year and a half later, he's coming off one of the toughest seasons of his career, and his recent extension has become one of the most controversial talking points in the Canucks fan base. So, how did it get to this? And importantly, can he bounce back? Today I'll be going through Demko's rise as a starter, his injury-riddled season, and comparing it to other players in similar situations who bounced back. But first, let's get to know Thatcher Demko. In 2014, with the 36th overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks selected goaltender Thatcher Demko. At the time, he was coming off a strong freshman season at Boston College, where he posted a .919 save percentage and a 2.24 goals against average, along with 2 shutouts in 24 games. Scouts praised him for his size, athleticism, and coachability, and early on, it looked like the Canucks made a smart bet. Over the next 2 seasons, Demko only got better. In his draft plus 1 year, he put up a .925 save percentage and a 2.19 goals against average in 35 games, including 1 shutout. He followed that with a monster year, a .935 save percentage and a 1.88 goals against average with 10 shutouts in 39 games. By the end of his college career, Demko wasn't just a good pick. He was a franchise-changing one. The following season, Demko made the jump to the AHL, joining the Utica Comets. For a 21-year-old rookie goaltender, he looked solid, posting a .907 save percentage and a 2.68 goals against average and 2 shutouts across 45 games as the starter. He didn't have any NHL action that year, but a strong foundation was clearly being built at the pro level. The following season, that foundation grew even stronger. Demko posted a .922 save percentage and a 2.44 goals against average with 1 shutout in 46 games, helping the Utica Comets to the playoffs. He also made his NHL debut, earning his first career win by stopping 26 of 30 shots in an overtime victory, capped off by an Alex Epler goal just in 1:21 into overtime. In the AHL playoffs, Demko continued to impress, putting up a .927 save percentage and a 2.69 goals against average over 5 games. But Utica's run came to an early end, as they were eliminated by the eventual Calder Cup champions, Toronto Marlies. The next season would be the first time that injuries started to affect Demko's career. He suffered both a concussion and a knee injury, causing him to miss 31 games, and it showed. His AHL numbers took a hit, with a .911 save percentage and a 2.58 goals against average over just 16 games. But despite that, he looked solid in his limited NHL action, posting a .913 save percentage and a 2.81 goals against average in 9 games with the Canucks. That small sample size was enough to earn himself a backup role behind Jacob Markstrom the following season with the Canucks. Demko's first full NHL season as the backup had its ups and downs. He posted a .905 save percentage and a 3.06 goals against average across 27 games before the season was cut short due to COVID. The Canucks will qualify for the 2020 playoff bubble, starting with the play-in series against the Minnesota Wild, which they won in 3 games. Then, they shocked the defending Stanley Cup champions St. Louis Blues in 6. But in the second round against the Vegas Golden Knights, the Canucks fell behind 3-1 in the series, and that's when the team turned to Demko. What happened next was the moment that changed everything. In games 5, 6, and 7, Demko was unstoppable, posting a .985 save percentage and a 0.64 goals against average and a shutout. Despite his heroics, the Canucks ultimately fell in 7 games, but Demko had arrived. The following season, Jacob Markstrom left in free agency, and the Canucks officially handed Thatcher Demko the starting role. Despite it being a brutal year for the team overall, Demko made the most of his opportunity, putting up a .915 save percentage and a 2.85 goals against average, along with 1 shutout in 35 games during the shortened season. He followed it up with another strong campaign, posting a .915 save percentage and improving his goals against average to 2.72, this time over a career-high 64 games. He also earned his first Vezina vote with 1 third-place vote this season. Between the last 3 seasons, Demko missed 14 games in total. He was consistent, reliable, and proved that he can carry the starter's load. He did get surgery on his right knee in the offseason though. In 2022-23, Demko would face his first major in-season injury at the NHL level. He suffered a groin injury in a game against the Florida Panthers, which kept him out for 35 games. His performance slipped too. He finished with a .901 save percentage and a 3.16 goals against average with 1 shutout in 32 games. But the most important part, he returned at the end of February and finished the season healthy, showing that even after a major setback, he could bounce back. Now that we've learned about Demko, let's take a look at what made his extension so controversial. The 2023-24 season was without question the best season of Demko's career. He posted a .918 save percentage and a 2.45 goals against average and 5 shutouts in 51 games, helping lead the Canucks to first place in the Pacific Division. He finished second in Vezina Trophy voting, picking up 0 first place votes, 20 second place votes, and 10 third place votes, and it looked like everything was coming together for both Demko and the Canucks. But then, on March 11th, everything changed. Demko suffered a knee injury that forced him to miss 14 games. He returned for the final 2 games of the regular season, and everything seemed fine. Demko started Game 1 of the playoffs against the Nashville Predators, stopping 22 of 24 shots in a 4-2 win. But between Game 1 and 2, the Canucks announced that Demko would miss the rest of the first round. Then, things got worse. Backup Casey DeSmith was injured in Game 3, leaving third-string goalie Artur Shilovs to carry the load for the rest of the playoffs. The Canucks beat the Predators in 6 and went on to face the Edmonton Oilers. They pushed it to 7 games, but eventually fell. Demko had started the year as a Vezina finalist, and then ended it from the press box, hurt and unable to help. Demko spent the offseason rehabbing his knee injury, but it proved to be difficult. By the time the NHL draft rolled around, he wasn't skating, and it began to look like the Canucks may have hurt their franchise starter by rushing him back for the playoffs. The team stayed hopeful he'd return early in the 24-25 season, but as the year began, Demko was nowhere in sight. Instead, the Canucks had to roll with the newly signed Kevin Lankinen, who stepped in and performed well early on. Lankinen looked like the ideal backup, but was overworked and struggled later in the season. After missing the first 24 games, Demko finally made his season debut against the St. Louis Blues after spending 2 games as the backup. He played for only 7 games before going down again, this time with a back injury that forced him out for 2 more games. He returned for 9 games, and then got hurt again, suffering a lower body injury in a game against the Maple Leafs that cost him 15 more games. He made one final push with 6 games late in the season before being sidelined again, this time due to illness, missing the Canucks' final 3 games. Demko finished the year with just 24 games played, posting an .889 save percentage and a 2.90 goals against average with 1 shutout. It was the worst season of his career, on the ice and off the ice. After the season he had, many fans gave up on Demko, calling him made of glass, and claiming he'll never stay healthy again. Whether those fans will end up being right or wrong, we don't know yet. But what we do know is this: he wouldn't be the first player that people gave up on too early. Across the league, players would face serious injuries, long absences, and even worse odds. So before writing off Thatcher Demko, let's look at a few examples. On March 27th, 2021, Jack Eichel suffered a neck injury in a game against the New York Islanders. He would miss the final 33 games of the season. What made the situation worse was that Eichel wanted a newer surgery to fix the issue, but the Buffalo Sabres wouldn't let him get it. With everything going on behind the scenes, it was hard to not wonder how he'd perform after the surgery. Eventually he was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights the next season. After the trade, Eichel missed another 55 games before making his return. He put up 14 goals and 11 assists for 25 points in 34 games. Good numbers, but not quite elite #1 center production. But over the next 3 seasons, Eichel bounced back in a big way, putting up 228 points in 207 games, becoming a dominant two-way center, and helping lead the Vegas Golden Knights to a Stanley Cup. He overcame an injury, he got healthy, he adapted his game, and he returned to form. And although he only faced 1 injury, while Demko faced plenty, it was a major enough injury to cause doubt. In the 2020-21 season, Carey Price was getting older, and his play had started to slip. He was coming off a down year, the Canadiens were one of the youngest teams in the league, and the season itself was disrupted by COVID. Price's numbers didn't improve much. He posted a .901 save percentage and a .264 goals against average and 1 shutout in just 25 games. He also missed time with a concussion, which added more doubt to his long-term outlook. Even though Price was older than Demko is now, he was still a capable goalie with an elite track record. The Canadiens barely made the playoffs, coming in with the worst record of any playoff team, and were matched up against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who looked ready to finally break their curse. Toronto took a 3-1 series lead, and most fans expected a quick end. But then, Price turned back the clock. He led the Habs to a comeback win in 7 games, then swept the Jets, and then beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games to send Montreal to the Stanley Cup final. The run ended in 5 games against the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions Tampa Bay Lightning, but the message was clear. Never count out Carey Price. Even after a concussion-riddled, statistically poor season, he showed us that he could still bounce back and dominate at an elite level. While their situations aren't completely identical to Demko's case, both Eichel and Price are great examples of players who bounce back from major injuries, and in Price's case, a down season as well. Thatcher Demko is an elite goaltender who's proven himself at every level. His rise has been steady and earned, and just when he was having the best season of his career, injuries hit. Those setbacks bled into this year due to him being rushed back from injury, dragging down his numbers. Fans turned on him, calling him made of glass and demanding a trade. And once an extension was signed, the noise only got louder. But now, things are different. He's reportedly healthy, and he's skating right now, unlike last year. And just like Jack Eichel, just like Carey Price, Demko looks ready for a bounce back. Hopefully this video gave you a reason to believe again. And if it didn't, that's okay. You can come back to this video and tell me off if I'm wrong. But instead of tearing down a player for something they can't control, hopefully I made it so that you don't give up on Demko.